So in the last video, we saw that we found some solution that helps to migrate the Airtable to the Postgres. But we saw that they are not a complete solution. So we need to build a complete solution that handles all the basic fields, all the complex fields, including rollups, link records, and formulas and everything. None of the solution solves completely, so for that reason we want to solve this problem with including all fields plus all the complex fields, so we can migrate the complete Airtable to the Postgres. In this video we will see a proof of concept. Why we need a proof of concept? Because before posting on the communities and getting a feedback, I just want to see if we can even do it. So in this video we will see what goes behind building the proof of concept and what are some decisions that we will take, the architectural decision. We will find some inspirations, we will find some ideas how to build it, and yeah, that will be included in this video. So let's dive in. So before we start, we need to do some more research. Why? We cannot just go and start building. We need to get some ideas and some inspiration, right? What I want to do is I want to see if there are any existing tool that solves the problem. And we found like we have 4 tools, right? And from the solution, we found that the closest thing that solves the migration problem is NocoDB. It solves everything except the formula fields. What if we can take some ideas and inspiration from the NocoDB and try to understand how they solve this problem, so that we can take some ideas while building our solutions. Why we need to do this? Because we are solving this problem for first time, and there are people who are already done the basic work, the foundation work, right? So we can take some ideas from them, and then we can improve the ideas. At for sure, for the formulas we need to come up with our own architecture, but at least we can take some ideas and inspiration from the NocoDB. So I found that they have open source their code base. So what we will do is we will go and clone their source code and start digging into the source code, right? So let's go. One cool thing that I will show you, instead of cloning this repository, we can just explore the code base right on the GitHub. No need to like clone it. If you want, let's start with just exploring the files. So you can just press the dot and then you will get a GitHub repo open in a VS Code format. So what we will do is, okay, so it's loading. So we need to do is we need to find a code base that handles the migration, right? We'll start with the documentation. Like we may find some source code or where how they are documenting everything. So we will start with the documentation part and then we will go into the code base. So let's go to the doc, and there should be something called developer or builder something. Yeah, we found it. So it's in the bottom, and not the API. We need some kind of contribution. Where do we find the developer contribution? Maybe let's go back to the repository. Maybe in the readme we can find there. Search for contribution. Yeah, we got it. Okay, so NocoDB contribution guide, pull requests. We need to understand their code base, how they are setting up everything. Development setup. Okay, the development setup, clone the repo, install the dependency, the front end start on port 3000, backend on 8080. That's good. Yeah, we need a repository structure. Yes, got it. So we in the repository structure, they are saying like we use Lerna. I don't know what's this. What is Lerna? Lerna is originally and Lerna is originally and widely used for managing the mono-repos multi-package repository in JavaScript and TypeScript project. It lets you work with a multiple package in a single repository and making it okay. So I got it. So their source code they handle in a monorepo. So monorepos are like both backend and front ends and other service are stored in a one repository. They use this Lerna called. I'm hearing this first time, but from the definition, I can see they since the multiple projects are in the same repository, so there may be a conflict for the package manager. So this Lerna helps to solve this. That's a good thing that we learned today. So let's continue. Is the repository structure? Yes. So they have packages folder, and inside the packages they have NocoDB SDK, which is API client for the NocoDB, right? And then in the packages we have NocoDB GUIs. So this is a front end, and they also have the build version and see. I don't know what this is. And then we have NocoDB backend. So what we are interested in, either the NocoDB SDK or the NocoDB. So so the NocoDB backend is hosted in a npm. So it most likely is the package for handling everything. But we will start with the NocoDB SDK, and then if we don't find there, we will move on to the NocoDB. For sure the front end, we're not looking for the front end, so we will start with SDK. So it's in the packages and NocoDB SDK. So let's search. Let me zoom this. So in the packages we have NocoDB SDK. In the SDK, we are looking for a feature that's responsible for the migration, Airtable to Postgres migration, right? Oh, we found it. So after searching the file, I found it's not in a NocoDB SDK. It's in the NocoDB, just a NocoDB that was hosted on npm package. So let's go back here, and I think I found this migration util. And if the migration util is here, what we are looking for is there should be a router, because in order to start the migration they will need some kind of endpoint where we can call it and then the migration start, right? So okay, what we will do is we will track back this migration util to, like, we just start looking where this migration util was used. So We are just searching globally if it's present or not. So mostly the front. Oh. I got it. It's in the NocoDB source module jobs. Okay, and then there is a 80. We found it. It's a 80 import. Let's go back to the controller. Yeah, you saw this. We have in the source, then modules, then jobs, and then 80 import. And then there is a controller for that. They call it jobs, means it's most likely the jobs are used for running in the background. So it most likely they are doing it as a background jobs, which makes sense because when we have a lot of data, then we cannot keep the endpoint opens, because at certain time the endpoint will be heated and it will be the what it calls the max timeout something error. So to avoid that, we use, like, we put the, once we start the migration, we can put that migration into the queue management, something like it's mostly the boolean queue or something we use, so that we put that job in the queue and it runs in the background, because the migration can take more than 5, 10, 20 minutes. We don't know, depend on the data, how big data is. We can guess like it can take more time. So that's what they are doing for sure, at least by looking at the structure. We found the controller, which is responsible for triggering the import, but we need to dig more into it so we can find some more ideas. So let's continue. So right now what I'm searching is how they are fetching the information from the Airtable and processing it. So what I'm looking for is how they fetch the data and how they get the records and try to convert those records into SQL. So first we need to find the Airtable one, how they are fetching the Airtable. I found one thing which is called this, in the AT import folder there is called index, and the index, it looks like AT import engine, which I think it's it's most likely the service that talks to the Airtable backend. And we can see there is a Airtable package itself, so means they are using a Airtable package, which let's see, Airtable npm package. So most likely they are using a npm package, which was, oh, there is no official Airtable package. So where this coming from? Oh, research is wrong. So they are using the Airtable package. So let's see what it does. Airtable.com. I got it. So they are using a official Airtable npm package that provides the API calls to fetch or update or read, write, whatever the things we want to do with the Airtable. So Airtable do have their own official Airtable library. So the NocoDB is using that library to fetch the data, but let's see how they are using it. So let's go back to the code base. So from here I can see that they are using the package, and in the how they are using in this service called engine, and it's index.ts. So they are creating a new instance of that Airtable class, I guess, and they are passing the API key and a base ID into. So, and then where they are using this, we need to search. Uh, they are using in it two places. One is AT import processor, and there is a fetch AT. So let's look into the fetch AT. What they are doing, it's the fetch AT is, so we are looking for this, so we are looking for this AT import engine where we are using this. So we are searching for this AT fetch AT dot fetch AT.ts, and nothing here. I guess we are uh, searching, like we are initializing, and then I'm just looking how they are fetching the information. I think this is the read function. I guess this is where we can read the data from the Airtable. Yeah, I guess yes, we are passing the schema, and if we have a data, then we get data of schema, then base ID and information. Yeah, yes. So this is correct. So we understood how they are fetching the information. They are using the Airtable package to retrieve the information and call the APIs to get the schemas and data and all kind of stuff. Now we need to figure out the next thing is how they are converting the Airtable schema into the Postgres schema, because that's the most important thing that we need to figure out. Once we crack this down, we can know, then we know how to deal with more complex things. So let's see and figure out how they are converting the schemas. So let's go here. My my guess is it should be in the read and process data somewhere, where they are reading the information from the Airtable and then processing and generating the output. So let's see. I found another place. It's called AT import processor. So this is the main, you can say, a brain where all the migration and all the logics is happening. So I saw at this file where we are fetching the schema of a Airtable, then processing over the schema, and saw that we are having a fields map, means how the Airtable fields are later going to convert to the NocoDB fields. So my guess is what we're going to do is when we treat over the schema, we're going to switch the Airtable fields to the SQL fields instead of NocoDB fields. So this is where we're going to replace our logic. So it looks great. And then uh, I saw there is also a rollup logic, how they are handling the rollup in the NocoDB. So that's another interesting thing that we need to think about. Now what I'm looking for is the mapping. So I just want to see how many Airtable fields that we have and what's their equivalent NocoDB fields. Right now we are looking into the NocoDB source code, so it makes sense to see the NocoDB fields, but that NocoDB fields will be replaced with SQL fields. So that's interesting. So let's search for that. I think it's called the sync map. I saw that file. I think it could be here. No, it's not here. Maybe something called types should handle this. So let's go back to the last file. So after doing some more digging into the code base, I found out that we for each field in the A table there is a dedicated mapping of how we're going to convert the normal fields to the SQL equivalent. So for each field, each type of field, they have a conversion, they have a mapping to convert those fields into the SQL equivalent. So that's something we can take the idea and build something similar. So right now what we have figured out is good enough to just build the basic prototype. After going through the code base and exploring the code, we find out that how they are migrating it. So they are using a Airtable package to talk to the Airtable via API. So Airtable has this official npm package that we can use to talk to the Airtable, right? So that's the one thing. Another thing is they have a processor, or you can think of a main brain or a main engine that like talks to the Airtable, get the data, then get the schema. So it does the first phase is it goes to Airtable and get the information that we need to process. Then there is a mapping layer which like for Airtable fields. So for each Airtable fields we have a mapping that tells us how to convert and how that Airtable field will look like when we convert to the SQL. So we need a mapping of Airtable fields to SQL fields. So that's the second thing. And another stuff is we don't need to run this for the first prototype. We don't need to run this in a background. So they are running everything in a job queue. So we don't need to do this. We going definitely we're going to need this when we build a like when we move out of a prototype to the actual real migration. But for the prototype we don't need the queue. So that's the plan. And so in the next phase, what we will do is we will build a Airtable service that help us to get the data and the schema, and then we will go through the schema, and for each type of Airtable fields we will have its corresponding SQL fields mapping. So it will help us to convert the fields to the SQL fields. And but here we need to figure out all the how many fields we have in an Airtable. So we will list out all the fields. So once we have a mapping of each fields, what we're going to do is we also need to come up with creating a table. So for each table in Airtable, we need to create tables in SQL, right? So once we have a mapping of fields, the next step will be creating a table for that fields, and then we will create all the tables with the same name as we have in Airtable, and they will be same in the SQL. So now we have a plan what to do next. So in the next video we will see how to take these ideas and turn into a basic prototype. So in the next video we're not going to build a complete application yet, but we will build some building blocks that can help us to validate the idea, and hopefully we can migrate at least a basic fields. So tune in the next video. We will see how we will turn these ideas into a basic working prototype, and we will migrate the basic fields. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.